What's up, Bleacher Bums? How is all doing today? Saturday morning, September 17th, and we got some killer games on slate today. We had two last night. Let's get to those quick. Trying to do it all here. I'm trying to edit stuff, trying to get my levels correct. It's a lot of fun. Um, would be nice to have a whole production crew here helping me with this, get me to understand a lot of this, but that's the way it is. Um, anyway, so last night I had a couple plays for you. We had, and we already had the outcomes. Let's see here. We had Louisville and Florida State going at it, and it was a tight game throughout the evening. It was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and Florida State. We had Florida State minus 2.5. That was it was came down to Louisville needing a touchdown because they were up. They were up by a field goal, and Florida State came down, hit a touchdown, which meant a field goal is not going to do them any good, and that was looking good for us because that meant for them to win, and then us losing the bet, they would have had to get a touchdown, and they could not do it. Game ended 35-31. Then we had Air Force minus 15 over Wyoming. The Air Force of the last 2 weeks did not show up. Wyoming at home, which is as bad as they can be. They've had a few good years. Within the last, I'd say 5 years, they've been pretty decent. But playing in Wyoming is not easy to do. They seem to have this strange home field advantage when going out to Wyoming. I think it's because the entire state of Wyoming is there. Seeing that the population is so small, they all show up for the Wyoming games and get the place pretty jacked up. But they took out the Air Force 14-7. Now, um those two were part of my top 10 that I really did like. I also have um I have some more here I'm going to go over. And if you watched yesterday's show, we were talking about some of these games, and I said I would break them down for you today. One of them is this Arkansas Pine Bluff. Somebody actually asked me, where in the world do you get all this information and like about all these smaller schools? And you just have to dig. You'll find it. You just have to get into the university's website, dig up their rosters, find out who's hit the transfer pool, and a whole bunch of different things that are involved in breaking these games down. Um, as it goes for Arkansas Pine Bluff, they are definitely a very small school, and they are taking on Oklahoma State, who's got an interesting coach, Mike Gundy. If anybody's gone on YouTube, just type in his name. The guy's he can be crazy. He can be a semi lunatic, um, but he's a great coach. Um, I think the reason this number is as high as it um, is because of what the possibilities he will do to get himself up in the top five and work themselves all the way up to. I mean, because a lot of these schools, if you wanna break into that top five when it comes down to the bowl championship of the year, you wanna get up there, and sometimes blowing some of these schools out is what you have to do. And Oklahoma State is that type of school that can do that. Now, Arkansas Pine Bluff is a smaller school, and they will get waxed. They are 2-0. They are in the Southwest American Conference. They're 2-0. Now they've won 48-42, and then they won 76-3. That was against North American University, who really has no right playing football against even some of these smaller schools. They're more like if you're from Detroit, they're more like a Schoolcraft College. And nothing against Schoolcraft College, obviously. Some of my friends actually teach there. Shout out to Mr. George Michaels himself. Um, Georgie, we love you. Um, he has his live karaoke show on. George Rapidas. I get your last name messed up a lot. But anybody who's in the Detroit metro area knows George. He's one of the greatest human beings you'll ever meet in your life. He's just a sweet, nice, great guy. He teaches culinary arts over at Schoolcraft. So nothing against Schoolcraft, just talking sports here. So they took them out 76-3. So they can put some points up on the board. I think they can get double digits up on Oklahoma State. I think they can put up some points. And the number that we're looking at um, is 57.5. Arkansas Pine Bluff plus 57.5 over Oklahoma State. Obviously, the Cowboys have a clear edge on everything you can see. I mean, they're a bigger school, the whole deal. But you just have to ask yourself, how motivated will Oklahoma State be to really embarrass a school like that? Especially with a bye week and Baylor on tap for its next game. So I don't think they want to get anybody hurt. They may play their second strings, but I've seen some crazy spreads before. But this is just outrageous. 57.5 points. Um, and it's not like their nicknames, the Golden Lions. And it's not like they're terrible. Their competition's just at a different level. Um, it's going to require Oklahoma State to have some sort of motivation or hatred or something to throw up this many points against the Golden Lions. Plus, Golden Lion, uh, the shout goes out down to Flagler Beach, Florida. Golden Lion restaurant is down there, and it's our favorite restaurant down there in Flagler Beach. If you're around the area, got to stop in oceanfront restaurant called the Golden Lion. So another reason why you got to take Arkansas Pine Bluff here. They got a cool nickname. Um, it's just I could see them backdooring the Cowboys. No pun intended. And Coach Mike Gundy might let up and allow their second, third stringers to come in. That's just a shitload of points, 57.5. So take Arkansas Pine Bluff and the points. Now, this one is off probably everybody's radar. Stony Brook -3 over UMass. If you wager money on college football, I think everybody, even if you're an amateur at it, knows that UMass is more like a basketball school. They're not. They shouldn't even have a football program. They're that bad. Now Stony Brook, they're not one of the better FCS programs. FCS means Division Two. FBS is a bowl. The B means bowl, so that's a Division One school. So they're not one of the better Division Two schools, and they're not really off to a great start this season. But the fact that UMass is the underdog and are at home, it's just wild to even comprehend that. You got a Division Two school favored over a Division One school. Um, it's it's insane, but it's an indication of how bad UMass really is. It's a club that consistently shows no life on either side of the ball, offense or defense. There's I don't know why they're even out there. But the odd makers, you know, telling you here's -3. You get Stony Brook's got to win by 4. It's got it. Some of the degenerate bettors may just go after this game and go all in on UMass because they're at home, Division 1 against a Division 2, without really thinking about it or digging into it. But Stony Brook, should I think they should win by double digits over UMass. They are that bad. So I do like that. I do like that play. I have an interesting one here too. Duke in North Carolina A&T over 55.5 points. And it's been bobbing around. I've seen it as high as 57.5. I've seen it as low as 53, 53.5, but it's around 55.5. And it's minus 110. Nice, easy bet here. Um, North Carolina A&T finished up a game versus North Dakota State. In that one, the Aggies, who are the North Carolina A&T Aggies, they got blown out 43-3. And in the first half, they coughed up 36 of those 43 points. So basically, North Carolina A&T versus North Dakota State, which they're not that bad of a Division 2 school, but they got completely blown out by a Division 2 school. Obviously, North Dakota State backed off. Now, as for Duke, they will not do that. They played Northwestern, Big Ten team, in their last outing. The Blue Devils ended up winning by 8 points. So not only is Duke a basketball school, they are a football school, and they're actually pretty good. They're a decent school. They have incredible weapons in the backfield. They're capable of taking it to the house pretty much whenever they touch the ball. Their running backs are really, really good. So you're going to see a lot of. I think the reason why this number is so low, you're going to see a lot of running, which will run time off the clock. Um, Now the defense is they give up some points too. So the defense is not as good, obviously, as their offense. So you're going to figure A&T, keep wanting to call them AT&T, NC A&T they're going to be able to move the ball quite easily, and all signs here just point to an over. I can see this easily becoming well into the 60s, low 70s type of game. And after looking at this and digging more into this game, because I was really interested in some of the stats, I think Duke minus 27.5 is excellent. Is a excellent bet too. So I would probably rank them both right there. I love the over, and you could do a same game parlay. Take the 55.5. Don't tease it. We'll go over teasers in one of our shows. I don't want to get too deep into them. They're more of sucker bets, but I'm a sucker for those. I love them. You can tease them. Let's just say, real briefly, you have Duke minus 27.5. You can tease the game either way. You could take Duke -6, or you can add 6 points to North Carolina A&T. You can tease it. I've seen as high as 21 points, and that is on Bet Online, the site I like to use. So you can do like an 8-game, 21-point tease, which they're kind of fun to do. You can bump any game up 21 points. You could either take the total. Those are really popular in the NFL, which we'll go over tomorrow. But I think this one's just fine the way it sits, minus 27.5. Love Duke minus 27.5. Probably one of my favorite games. It should have made my top 3 is the Rutgers minus 17 over Temple. That number I've seen creeping up to minus 18. Do not be afraid. I would say you could take it probably as far as 19, even 20. I think this game's going to be over really quickly. Rutgers are not even that great of a team, but they are definitely getting better. Temple has gotten no better, and last year they got absolutely bitch slapped. Let's see. Let me see if I can pull up. I meant to do that earlier. Get Rutgers. Of course. They got absolutely demolished. Um, I think this is it right here. Yeah, last year, 61-14. Just it wasn't even fair. Um, it wasn't fair. It wasn't right. They got completely destroyed. So that is a game I truly, truly like. Let's get back to it. Okay. Um, the Temple Owls haven't shown us anything through 2 games. Beating Lafayette doesn't move BBS's needle, and they got shut out even by Duke, who we just got done talking about. Um, I have been saying, even to friends of mine, a couple years now, that the Rutgers are a program that are on the rise. Yeah, they do get beat up a lot in the Big Ten, but they are a team to keep your eye out for. They're Rutgers going into BC and winning should have turned some heads, which it doesn't seem like to many of the professional handicappers it really has. But they have also they've been covering machines as of lately. But Temple, they can't cover anything. It's a thick number for a road team, and that's always something to be weary of. But odds makers are telling you by giving a road team that's a decent team minus that many points. I love the Scarlet Knights in this spot. No way do the Owls cover this number. And like I said, I think you can see the outcome really by half. And hope there are no backdoor covers here. I just don't see it. I think this could be in very similar to last year's score, possibly 50s and 60s for the Rutgers. I think they're going to put it to them. Believe me, they're getting the tapes out from last year because there ain't much that's changed over at Temple. Then I've got NIU, Northern Illinois, and Vanderbilt. Over 58.5. The Huskies of Northern Illinois will look to rebound. They lost 38-35 to Tulsa last time out. And Vanderbilt also took the loss 45 to 25 at Wake Forest. So you got 2 teams ready to go after it, which means there should be a lot of points up on the board by the end of the game. That's why we're focusing here on the total. Now, for Vanderbilt, the over is 4-0 in their last 4 games overall. NIU is 5-1 over their last 6 games. If I were to take a side, I like NIU minus 2.5, but the better play here is over. You're going to want to go over the points, and as it stands right now, you're looking at 58.5. So pretty much 60 points. You want to get this over, which I don't think they're going to have a problem. There's going to be no defense played here. You're looking at 60 to 70 points alone. So give me the over. Some things to mention here. Well, like I said, um, if you want to pick a side, if you want to even do a same game and take the over plus a team, NIU is 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games against a team with a winning record, but they're also 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games against the SEC, which we know the SEC is probably the best conference in all of football. That's something to think about. NIU is no joke. They will hang in there with the toughest of schools. So I absolutely do love that. I've got, let's see here. I've got other I've got about 10 teams I'm leaning to, and I will go over that. But let me get you my top 3 picks because some of you are probably just waiting for those. I've got actually 4. I usually post on Facebook my top 3 heavy hitters, the ones we're going to bet hard on. But then I got the best bet of the day, and I know some are trying to talk me out of it, but I'm just not going there because I don't believe in Central Michigan. But my best bet, number 1, I think is on the board, and this is Bucknell plus 40 over Central Michigan. Bucknell, they're going to get blown out. but by 40, I just don't see it. Bucknell is, you know, shown through 2 games, they're not a good team, and they're playing lower level schools. However, Central Michigan is one of the worst defensive teams in all of college football. They have allowed 96 points up to this point. S Last week, South Alabama, which is no joke of a school, they are decent, that's a decent school there. Their receivers were running all up and down the field. Not only could the camera not find any Central Michigan receivers, they were completely lost. I don't know if there were schemes that South Alabama were throwing up there, but it didn't look like it. They were just straight down the field, wide open. So I I think Bucknell is going to attack those the backfield there, and I think they're going to throw up some numbers that are going to cover that 40 points. I just think this line is completely stupid. Central Michigan's got Penn State on deck. The Chippewas just they have no. I mean, this might even be an over the total. Also, I'll have to look up the total, but I just like Bucknell plus 40. Um, they're not going to get shut out. Bucknell's going to put some points on the board. Um, I just love this game. I love it strictly not because of Bucknell, but because of Central Michigan's defense being one of the worst. So I think they can do that. I think they can put the points on the board and cover that. Um, then I've got Western Kentucky, who I think can win this game outright. Um, but I think the odds makers see Indiana as a Big Ten team, and they're just going right after that. Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, which I think is a cool ass nickname. Um, they're not getting the benefit at all. Indiana's getting the benefit because they're at home and they're in the Big Ten. But the Hilltoppers, they have playmakers on offense, so they're going to be able to put points up on the board. They've held themselves. Their defense is really good. They've proven dating back to last year that they can win on the road. And I'm telling you, any of these colleges can tell you winning on the road in college football is really tough, especially with some of these stadiums filled with screaming home fans. It gets crazy. Um, Plus, Western Kentucky has had a week to prepare for this game, so +7. I think this should be more like a +4, +3 type game. I think it's going to be tight, but I do think Western Kentucky is a really live underdog team here. But you're going to give me a touchdown, I'll take it. Love that game. And I'm going back to Georgia Southern +12 over UAB. UAB is decent. But Georgia Southern, the odds makers still are not giving them any credit. The Eagles' offense was rolling right along with Nebraska. They racked up 642 yards, 7.5 yards per play. Nebraska UAB, I mean, yeah, they did fire Frost and everything. But if you had UAB playing Nebraska, who do you think would be favored there? It's a question you got to ask yourself too when taking these games. Uh, Georgia Southern also in that game had 34 first downs. It's just outrageous. Georgia Southern punted only one time and only had 3 penalties. So they are coached really well. Um, I think they're going to win their conference. I really do. I think Georgia Southern's going to be right in there at the end. Um, I think if the Eagles can keep up the pace they've established over their first 2 games, it is going to be really, really tough for UAB to hang around. I just, I don't know. That almost became a best bet. Also, that's why I really like these games. Now, speaking of Nebraska, I don't even care that this is a rivalry game. I do not care. Nebraska, yeah, they did fire Frost, but they took on a coach that is under Frost. The players are the same. I think he's going to use the. I think basically, if I'm Nebraska, I am just praying to God we don't get embarrassed. This line opened up at almost, -14, but as soon as news dropped that Frost was fired, the books made this adjustment with the belief that, Nebraska will play a little more inspired under their interim head coach, Mickey Joseph. Um, Oklahoma now is gifted. I'm not saying they're laying these points. They're gifted, just 10.5 points. And that was as of yesterday afternoon. This is just an over adjustment to the coaching change. Yeah, there's a new leader in the locker room, but do you think he's really going to go in there, rah, 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 type of stuff and convince you that they're going to take out Oklahoma, who is only getting better week by week here? I think they were ranked. They're ranked number 6 right now. I'm not really big on the rankings. It is college football. Things change every week, but there is no way. I mean, Nebraska in their first 3 games were favored by 12, 29, and 23 points. Um, they went 1 and 2 straight up in those contests. It's not shocking either that Nebraska is 0 and 3 against the spread. And now you only have to give up 10 points with a Sooners team that is that much better. I don't know how this should be Oklahoma minus kind of what Georgia Southern had, 20 something points. No way on God's green earth does Nebraska cover this number. No. I think that's absolutely asinine. Um, it's crazy stuff. So those are my 11, well, my 10 best bets plus my 11th, which would be my play of the day, which falls in on Bucknell plus 4. But I do have some leans here. And we already had one last night. Merrimack. I This should have made my best bets, but nobody would have found this game anywhere. But it's out there. Some books had it, some didn't. But Merrimack was getting 27.5 over Harvard. They expected Harvard to shut them out, which blew my mind. Merrimack is a small school, but they're a tough. It's a real gritty type of school. They hung in there, and they were actually tied and went to overtime. So they easily covered 27.5. As a matter of fact, Harvard only scored half a point more than that line. 20 Harvard won 28-21. So easy cover there. I'm gonna This might take some time. So give me a second here. I'm gonna pull up some stuff for you. Um so I'm gonna go over some of these games for you. Um and I found some more for you that I really do like. Um, this one is interesting, and I had to go over this one over and over and over again. And it might let me see if I have it. I should have it on. Yeah, I do. It's my number 4A on my top 10 leans of the day. I love this game, and I may even we may throw some down on this. You got Montana State heading over to Oregon State. Both 2-0. Um, the Beavers have won their last 7 home games, and I think that's why they get the benefit of the doubt here. Um, their ground Oregon State's ground game is averaging 178 yards, which is really good. Deshaun Fenwick is their running back. He leads the team with 141 yards and a few touchdowns. Now, this is the part that worries me if you're thinking of taking Oregon State. They're allowing 24.5 points per game, and they're allowing 401 yards per game. That's a lot. Um, when you're giving up 13.5 points to a Montana State team that is all that and then bags of chips, I'm telling you, they are really good. Um, the Bobcats. Montana State Bobcats are 7-2 against the spread in their last 9 conference games, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games overall. The Beavers, gotta love that name, man. The Beavers, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 non-conference games, 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games in September, which I don't buy the Thursday, they're 10-0 on Thursdays, they're whatever. So I'm not really buying those type of trends, but they're out there, so I like to list them in case you're a fan of Oregon State. The under the under is 6-2 in Montana State's last games overall, and the under is 6-2 in Oregon State's game. But I'm not looking at the total here. I don't care about those trends. The Beavers are the Beavers are going to get the benefit of the doubt at home, but the Bobcats are far from your typical FCS, which is a Division II pushover. Montana State has been on fire offensively through 2 games, and this is a team that made it to the FCS championship last season. And I'm real big with those Division II championship games. They're always really good. Um, and in the last few years, Montana State has been one of the better programs on that level. I honestly think they should move up a level. Um, but a lot there's so much that has to go with the schools, with their, you know, how many people go to the school, to just there's different factors. But I think they could move up into Division 1 if they really wanted to. Oregon State though has also ranked. They also have a ranked USC team on deck, so they could possibly be overlooking this game. Um, this could be one of those dangerous games for Oregon State. They should not overlook them, but they probably will. So I love Montana State here with 13.5 points. You'll have to check out. You'll have to check out the latest numbers on that game. I don't necessarily want to waste your time with those. I want to get through these because we got games. Well, Wolford and Virginia Tech just started. I sprinkled a little on Virginia Tech and on the over just for fun. It's 11 o'clock game. Why not? I won't get into that game because I don't know. I just think it's a game that doesn't matter. That's why we're starting the show closer to 12 and avoiding the 11 o'clock game. I got Duquesne. Now this is going to be your last game of the night. And I know a lot of degenerate batters are just like, they'll take anything that's still on the board. They probably had a horrible, horrible day or whatever. If you follow our picks, you won't have those horrible days. That I can promise you. Wink, wink. Duquesne is heading over to Hawaii, which God, Hawaii is one of the worst teams. I mean, you look at the top 130 some teams in college football. They are right at the end there. They are so god awful. And that's unlike a Hawaii team. Usually they're decent. They're like a 7-5 type team hanging in there. They always got that quarterback either from Hawaii or something. Um, and they're usually right in the games. Boy, they are dismal. They are so bad. Now they did put up 10 points on Michigan, which is shocking to me. Um, their quarterback, I mean, so far he's thrown 391 yards. He's got 4 interceptions. He's just not good. He's not helping putting any points up on the board. Now Duquesne is 4-0-1 against the spread in their last 5 road games. And they're 4-1-1 against the spread in their last 6 games overall. Now the under is 4-1 in their last 5 road games. Against the spread in the last 51 games for Hawaii, they're 16, 33, and 2. Now, does that mean jack shit with this game? Not really, but it's an interesting that even at home they can't even cover the number. Um, This one's really interesting, though. They are 17 and 39 against the spread in their last 56 games. And that's against a team with a losing record. It's I mean, that's as bad as it gets, guys. But because they're an FBS team, and we already saw Duquesne get bounced by Florida State, but it is Florida State. Um, Florida State's miles ahead of Hawaii anyway. So I think this is calling for a disaster point for Hawaii. If they lose this game, there's going to be some heads rolling. I'm telling you. I mean, it's a winnable game. Should they win? Yes, they should, even as bad as they are. But I'm not counting. I'm not counting on it. Duquesne is usually solid. They're usually a solid FCS team year in and year out, and I can see the upset here. If you want to take Duquesne plus 6.5, have at it. I like that pick to finish off your evening. Um, they're definitely an upset special, if you'd like to call it. Um, I don't know. I would definitely. I mean, if you're well ahead of the game, I probably would stay away from it. But if you're going to take one, whatever you do, don't take Hawaii at all. Now, this was an interesting one. I'm always for my Michigan teams, um, except U of M, which I'm going to lose a lot of viewers for that comment. But I'm a state fan. I can't help that. Here we got Arizona State minus 21 over Eastern Michigan. And um, Eastern opened up their season against Eastern Kentucky. They scored. Um, Eastern Michigan scored 14 points in the final three quarters. They ended up coming back to beat Eastern Kentucky 42-34. Um, it's about the only good thing Eastern has done all year, and they're headed to Arizona State, where I don't care how bad Arizona State is. Playing them, they're kind of like an LSU nighttime um, type of team. You don't want to go into their. Not only do you not want to go out there, you don't want to go out there at night. Arizona State can get nasty, 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 and you're a much smaller school. You don't really have the talent to even be out there. And the lines are only minus 21. Now the the Sun Devils had a rough matchup this past weekend, giving up 465 total yards and 30 first downs to a team we just talked about, Oklahoma State. Arizona State came up with just 2 of 13 on third down tries, and committed 10 penalties. So if they cut down those penalties, they should have no problem in this game. As for Eastern, they did beat Louisiana, but ultimately ended up with 5 turnovers and 10 penalties for 85 yards in a second half collapse. It's not going to get any easier um, in this matchup, and I just don't think Eastern Michigan's going to cover that 21 points. And with Louisiana, they did not win that game. It's because of the penalties, and they just at the end of the game they just collapsed. They just could not hold Louisiana. So this one sticks out as it should be more like minus 28, minus 31, somewhere in that type of somewhere in there. I like I like that I like that kind of number. So minus 21, jump all over it. Here we got two teams that are going to put up, in my opinion, I think they could put up 100 points. And the teams, when you hear it, are thinking, what? These two teams? Yeah, I think they can. We're looking at University of Texas San Antonio, which we had last weekend in some of our plays. They're playing, or Texas is hosting them. So it's going to be this Texas shootout, I guess we could call it. Um, it's interesting. San Antonio is 10-1 against the spread in their last 11 games on turf, and 13-4 against the spread in their last 17 road games. Texas San Antonio, we have picked many times in some of our picks, and there's reasons why. They're this team that flies under the radar. Um, I'm a big fan of those teams. If you can catch them, you got to find them. There's so many college games every weekend, so there's so many to try to find. But definitely like San Antonio in a lot of the games that they play. Now, um, their over is 6-0 in their last 6 road games. Texas is 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games against a Conference USA, and an 8-1 against the spread in their 9 non-conference games. While the under is 4-0 in their last 4 games overall, but I'm not worried about that. It's this game here. We've seen the good and the bad from Texas in different forms this season, but the bottom line is that Texas showed against Alabama that they are still a pretty talented group. They are up and coming, and they can hang with the big boys. Um, and I think there'll be a team that we talk about in the Big 12 this season. With that being said, I like the over here as I expect Texas to let loose a little bit and do some damage offensively. You know, they didn't score much against Alabama. I think they're going to take it out on Texas San Antonio, but keep in mind, they are no slouch either. And I think this, I think this game could go down to, believe it or not, I think it could even go to possibly overtime. I think Texas might be overlooking them because they're going to find out San Antonio is going to put up some points. I The line right now is 59. I can see this easily cracking 60, 70s, and possibly the 80s. So 59 points. Don't look at it and let it freak you out, especially with a smaller school and somebody like Texas who didn't put up many points last week. Take the over 59. This game is going to be wild. It's gonna be a lot of points scored. We got another one. Oh yeah, this one I really is it intrigues me. It's insane. So Nevada is not very good this year. They struggled with Incarnate Word. That is actually a school, Incarnate Word. If I'm not pronouncing it right, I apologize, but it's something like that. Incarnate Word. Yeah, it's a hell of a name for a school. Um, and they are going into Iowa now. The way Nevada looks, without looking at Iowa, this should be an absolute like I don't know 42 to nothing type game. But if you have watched Iowa in these last few games, they can't put any points on the board. I don't know where they're going to find the points. The Nevada Wolfpack are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 road games and are 5-12 against the spread in their last 17. Um, the Iowa is 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 home games, 0-3-1 against the spread in their last 4 games overall. Now the over is 5-1 in the Wolfpack's last 6 games, and the under is 14-6-1 in the Hawkeyes' last 21 home games. Now, listen, Nevada is they are not a good football team, and they still have some showing and proving to do after playing 3 cupcakes to start this year. Iowa, the Iowa Hawkeyes have the edge pretty much across the board when you look at all the stats that both these teams put out there. And they have one of the top defenses in the country, so we know there's not going to be a lot of points put up on the board. The big question, the $1,000,000 question is, can Iowa even score? Through 2 games, they are 131st in total offense, 127th in passing, 126th in rushing. And the question is, can they even score 23 points? Because Nevada is getting 23 points. Um, I w- I don't see how you go any other way. There's no way you can take Iowa minus 23. Just can't do it. And I will not do that. I like Nevada here plus the points in a super low scoring game. I think last time I looked, I think the total was like 30, 38, 39 points. It was really low. These teams just are not. They're not. They're not going to score many. So let's take the 3 points there, the 23 points, and let's run with it. Now, speaking of my MSU Spartans, this is a game I want to talk about only in talking. Do I want to even if I placed any money on this, it would more or less be sprinkle a little bit, very little, just for the rush of hey, I got something on here. It ain't going to be much because this is just Michigan State has looked really really good as of so far this year. But here's some trends that I want to throw out there for you. The Spartans are 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 Pac-12 games, but they are 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games overall. I love their new coach. I think he's going to guide them in the right direction. So far, I think he's been brilliant. So when I see 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 games overall, that does make me feel a little better if I'm taking Michigan State. Um, this was interesting. The Huskies are 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 Big Ten games, and they're only 5-11 against the spread in their last 16 games overall. The under is 4-1 in Spartans' last 5 games overall. The over is 4-1 in the Huskies' last five games overall. I'm not even looking at a total here. I still think I want to go with the side if I'm going to do it. Now, Washington, usually how football works, a home team will get 3 points right off the bat. You're home, you get 3 points. So when you see Michigan State plus 2.5, that's about right. I've seen 3.5, I've seen 3. So it's pretty much a pick 'em game here, folks. Um, Now Washington does have a playmaking quarterback who could give MSU defenses some issues. Um, we're going to learn more about Michigan State after this game because they really haven't played anybody up to this point. But we're getting 3 points. It is only 2.5, but it's a pick'em game in my opinion. Um, and it's a Pac-12 team that we're playing. Michigan State hasn't done well against Pac-12. Um, but I think State they're going to have advantages in the trenches, and that's where football teams are going to win their games because of the trenches. And that goes throughout all of football, pro, anything. If you build it in the trenches, you will the wins will come. And I think physically, Michigan State's more physical of a team. Um, and I think the defense is always going to rise to occasions like this. And I think that we're going to see Michigan State winning because of the defense. Um, I just, I don't know. I have a hard time trusting Pac-12 clubs against the Big Ten or SEC teams. So I would say give me Sparty and the points. And if you can I'm not a fan of buying points. I think it's ridiculous, but this is going to be a really, really tight game. If you can find a book that's doing 3, and if you can get 3.5, that's even better. So maybe buy half a point. But this is going to come down to 27, 24, 27, 23-ish. I mean, it could be just about anything, but it's going to be a really tight 3-point game. So that one I'll sprinkle a little on just because. And then, yeah, cross our fingers, I guess. It's just not one of those games I would lay a lot of money down on. It definitely could go any which way. Um, Another one for the Ohio State fans. I think we've seen this before, guys. Ohio State and Toledo. I think you're a fool If you think Ohio State can go in here, they should. The numbers, the you look at all on paper. Um, this game should be a blowout, but it just doesn't happen when they play Toledo. We've seen some of these games come down to Toledo's hanging in there. I'm trying to remember the last time I saw it where Toledo was. I remember I was at a music function and I kept watching the TV thinking, "Oh my God, Toledo could pull the upset." So historically, the Rockets are they're in there against the spread. In their last 8 road games, they're 7-1. Um, they're 5-2 when starting off the season in September, and the Buckeyes are 4-9 against the spread in their last 13 home games, and 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 games overall. The over is 6-1 in Toledo's last 7 games, and 4-1 in the Buckeyes' last 5 games. So, but you're throwing out 31.5 points is just asinine. I know colleges, the teams change all the time. With this portal crap, kids just going wherever they want, whenever they want. Things change, but Toledo is known to be able to handle Ohio State pretty well. Um, and Ohio State they have the horses to take this game, open it up, and win huge. But it's important to remember Toledo is no pushover. They return a lot of players from last year's squad, and that's huge. We know Notre Dame is not the Notre Dame that we're used to, but Toledo took them right down to the wire. And Toledo has had success on the ground, I think, to shorten this game, take time off the clock. The defense is second against the pass and second in points allowed up to this point. They are also a better, well, they are also a more significant game to Toledo than is for Ohio State. This game is so important to Toledo because if they can put this on their resume that they hung in there and made a game of it, those are two schools right there that, hey, we hung in there, we did a great job keeping the 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 gap of points lost by really short, kind of similar to a Notre Dame. Now, um, could the Buckeyes be looking ahead to Wisconsin? Very well, they could be. Um, if I'm Toledo, I want to slay Big Brother because that's kind of what it is like down there in Ohio. That's their big brother, and rightfully so. It's not like the Michigan State Michigan thing. They're not that wide apart. Toledo and Ohio State are, and I think Toledo would love to be able to make this a game. So you're going to give me 31.5 points. I'll take that all day long. That's a that's actually a really nice. That's a nice pick there. Um, Here's one that people are going to overlook too, um, and that is Jacksonville State is heading to Tulsa. I'm a Oklahoma guy. I was born in Oklahoma. Love my Oklahoma teams. I'm always pulling for State, the Sooners, the Hurricanes. I'm loving my Oklahoma teams, but this one stuck out only because of that. And Jacksonville State is no joke. They are kind of like that Montana State, where they are going to fight and they are going to be nasty. Um, Jacksonville State's getting 7 points, very similar to the Western Kentucky Indiana game, and I kind of see the same thing here. Um, I get why Tulsa's favored. You're at home. You're getting the Division 1 love from the bookmakers, and that's all it is. But this line should tell you everything you need to know. Tulsa, even though I love them, have not looked very good this season, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Jacksonville State has always been a tough out They are not gonna get they are one of those, teams that are gonna fight you till the end. They could be down 50. They're gonna get nasty in there, and they're gonna keep fighting you. Um, Regardless of the opponent, they play a really solid defense, and it shows in their first 2 opponents. So don't be shocked if, Jackson State wins this outright. They are 4, let me see. I already went over that. We were just talking about NIU. Tulsa is 1-1, and they actually took out Northern Illinois, who I also think is one of those teams that just they'll put points up, and they'll keep fighting you. Tulsa beat them, um, 38-35 the last time out. Um, Davis Brin is their quarterback, and he is really good. Um, he has thrown 782 yards, 7 touchdowns, and a pick. Um, their rusher, Steven Anderson, has a team high of 98 rushing yards so far. And that's great for Tulsa. It makes them, they're going to put points up on the board. But Jacksonville State are 2-0. They beat Murray State. Yes, that's Division II. They beat them 34-3. But they are going to put points up on the board just as Tulsa is. And you're getting 7 points here. They got Jacksonville State has got a few really good receivers, and they're going to be he's going to be throwing his name Zion Webb for Jacksonville State quarterback. Really good. He's going to be throwing a lot of passes. There's going to be tons of passes thrown here because it's going to be basically who can keep up with who. And I like that. That's the kind of college football I think we all like, and that's going to be a Jacksonville State cover of 7 points. That one stuck out to me because Jacksonville State is a very good smaller school, and these are the ones you gotta find out there. Um, they those schools are out there, and they will pull the upsets. I've got a comment here. They wanted me to talk about Marshall. Are they going to be the Marshall of last week? And I do believe so, only because they are facing a really bad Bowling Green team. And Bowling Green isn't far from where we live here in Detroit, in the Detroit area. And I have gone down and seen some Bowling Green games. They're actually really entertaining. I've been down there when they played, I think they played Army. Uh, Trying to think. Oh, they played, I think they played Indiana. Think that's I went down to see them play Indiana. Indiana came to their field, which was really kind of cool. See a Big Ten school show up. But Bowling Green's just they are really bad this year. They're 0-2. They have lost 5 of their last 7 home games. Defensively, they're allowing 52 points, 534 yards per game. They're just not stopping anybody. Their ground game, they're not even averaging 100 yards. It's just under at 92 and a half. Marshall, they're 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 games, 4-0 against the spread in their last 4 road games. Bowling Green in their last 34 home games are 9-25. The under 6-2 for Marshall, over 7-2 in Falcon or for Bowling Green. Don't care. It's not what I'm looking at here. It's going to be a sloppy game. Now the only reason this didn't make a best bet for me is this could be a letdown spot for Marshall. They upset Notre Dame last week. They're higher than a kite. And that's why you're going to see this number only at -18 because somebody had asked me, why is it only -18? This thing should be -30. Well, these kids, it can happen in college football. they get this letdown spot, and a lot of times in the first few weeks, you see these things, and it's a horrible trend for handicappers to deal with because we see something we like, and it's like, we gotta be a little hesitant. This is one of them, but I do love Marshall here, with the -18. There's no way in hell I'd go Bowling Green. Um, you know, Bowling Green's just been horrendous through, 2 games, and it's not just on one side of the ball, it's both of them, especially defensively. They are 130th in total defense and scoring defense. That type of effort is never gonna get you the trust you need, with somebody taking Bowling Green in a spot like this. Marshall all the way -18. I wouldn't be shocked if it hits -20 by game time. Um, so that's where we are there. Get you one more here. Um, somebody wanted to know, oh yeah, Oregon and BYU. I flip flopped on this one, guys. I've got Oregon, I think -3.5, and they're at home, and they always take care of business at home. Um, it's fair to say BYU has shown us through 2 games, more through 2 games than Oregon. But Oregon had a blowout win over Eastern Washington. That doesn't really do much for me. Now, BYU did go on the road and completely annihilate South Florida, and it was very humid conditions. It was nasty, nasty weather for that game, and they ended up stomping them pretty good. BYU plays with a physical style in the trenches. They're very, very physical, and that's sort of the team that gives Oregon issues. Would I be surprised if BYU won this outright? No. Um, but BYU are 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 road games. The Ducks aren't much better at 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 non-conference games. 9-19-1 against the spread in their last 29 games. The over is 5-2 in BYU's last 7. The over is 66-32-1 in the Ducks' last 9. So, but this is what sold me. And should it? Probably not. The Ducks of Oregon have not lost a home game since September of 2018. That when I was swaying back and forth, it just boom. That sent me. I don't see the BYU team going into Oregon. It's probably it's going to be a night game. It ain't happening. I know a lot of the handicappers are thinking that it's too many points, 3.5. That hook could come back and bite you, but I just don't see it. I think Oregon's going to have enough. They're going to show us something this week. I don't see BYU going for a third straight 3-0 season. I see Oregon getting over that 500 mark, going 2-1. Both of them by the end of the night will be 2-1. So take your Oregon Ducks. If you can get 3 points, that's even better. But I do like Oregon. And that should do it for the games. I will be online all day. If anybody has any questions about games coming up later, I will be available to guide you the best I can. Let's have a winning. Let's have a winning day. Go Bucknell. Let's see. Where is it? Why am I? Where is it? Go Buck. Yeah. I don't know where in the world everything went here. Completely buzzed out. Anyway, take Bucknell plus the 40. Oklahoma State and all the games. Oh, So there you go. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. Um, Definitely take the games I have up on Facebook for you. You've got 8 minutes. Games are all starting. Let's get some winners here. Um, Obviously, I said Bucknell plus 40. Jump on that. But Oklahoma, look for them to absolutely demolish Nebraska. Um, because it's a rivalry, it might be closer, but I don't see that. I think we're going to be looking at a big Oklahoma win. Bleacher Bum Sports will be doing the new generation of throwing that money around. So let's throw some money around. Everybody have a great day. Enjoy it. Tomorrow morning, we will be doing our first NFL Sunday show. Any questions, please fire them over. Or any comments, good or bad, I can take it. We're new out here on the YouTube world. So that's it. Enjoy the day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.